Hello, I'm Anya Lichtarovich. This is Somewhere on Earth. I'm in Doha. It's Wednesday, February the 3rd, 2026, and we're at Web Summit Qatar. Welcome to the Global Tech Podcast. Coming up today. When you hear the word deepfake, what do you think of? Fake videos of celebrities, politicians saying things they never said, AI-generated faces, voices, even pornography that looks disturbingly real. It feels like a social media problem, something happening on our phones. But what if deepfakes weren't just copying people? What if they were copying the planet? We trust satellite images to show us wars, floods, climate change, cities growing, forests disappearing. Journalists use them, scientists rely on them, governments make decisions from them. Now imagine these images being altered, a wildfire that never happened, a base that isn't real, a disaster in the wrong place. Suddenly truth from orbit becomes fragile. That's one of the stories on today's episode. The other is much closer to home and a lot more human. Ever wanted to learn a new language but the usual ones don't excite you? French, Spanish, Russian? Useful, sure. But what about Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo or Pidgin? We're also looking at how tech is opening doors to African languages, culture and identity. One app, one lesson at a time. This is Somewhere on Earth, the Global Tech Podcast, where global technology meets real life. Let's get started. Now, when we hear the word deepfake, most of us think of fake videos of famous people, celebrities saying things they never said, politicians doing things they never did, or even the darker side, the AI-generated pornography and identity theft. But what if I told you deepfakes aren't just about faces and voices, they're now happening in space too? Because today we rely heavily on satellite images to understand what's happening on Earth. Governments use them to track conflict. Journalists use them to verify stories. Scientists use them to monitor climate change, disasters, deforestation. These images help shape decisions that affect millions of people. Now imagine if those images were fake, altered or completely generated by AI. A flood that never happened, a military base that isn't real, a wildfire moved to the wrong place. Suddenly the truth from space becomes much harder to trust. That's the problem behind a new ESA-backed project called Verisat AI, and it's what today's guest has been working on, helping the world tell the difference between real satellite data and artificial deception. Joining me now to talk about this is Shoaib Burq. Hello.
Hey. Hi, Anya.
Hello, thank you for joining us here on Somewhere on Earth. So, first of all, tell me this problem with deepfake satellite images. What's happening?
Yeah, so if you take the sort of recent example of this, the India-Pakistan conflict that happened in, I believe it was early 2025, there were claims and counterclaims being thrown around on social media. And quite often they were accompanied by rather stunning looking or really impressive satellite imagery. And turned out most of those were manipulated. They were fake. And people fell for it. Like people were, like the jingoism and all that, it was fueling all that. So that's where we're at right now. And every day we're seeing more and more examples of generative AI, and we've been thinking about this from a point of view of like where would the world be in the next few years, and starting to get in front of this.
So how do you detect what is fake and what isn't when it comes to satellite images?
So it turns out these models that generate fake images or even like fake videos, they're all based on a similar architecture or a neural network. And that neural network, when it goes from your idea, like what you want to generate, to actually creating something new, leaves behind almost breadcrumbs or fingerprints. And we have been studying that process. It's called a diffusion model. Like the image is goes from go from a noise image or like an image that's basically nothing to something that's the AI is able to generate. And during that process, there's a bunch of steps that happen that you can detect.
Mm-hmm.
And we figured out a way to reverse engineer that from or see that fingerprint from the final output of the image.
Okay, so that will detect what, a whole image? Because there is also an issue that sometimes only part of an image is altered. So tell me about those.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is something unique to satellite imagery because, normally it's unique. Normally, because like the most common use cases that you see in deepfakes is like people's faces or a whole video and so on. Although you do see even in photographed fake images, like someone replacing maybe, a broom with a gun or something like that. But in the satellite imagery, it's even more acute, the problem, because the satellite image covers a large area on Earth, and the smoking gun that you want to maybe hide or show or add, it could be just a small part of the image. For example, you could be replacing a anti-aircraft system with, say, something completely,
You gave me the example of, take out the tank and put in an ambulance, changes everything completely straight away with that one quite small change.
Yeah. And if you remember I think it was the MH17 flight, I can't remember exactly the flight that was going to Malaysia over the territory over Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of back and forth about where the location of the missile was, and there was like imagery being produced by both sides, claiming that it was across the border or it was in the other party's territory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I do remember that from a few years ago. And you reverse engineered the process. You, in effect, created deepfakes to learn how. So tell me about that. I mean, maybe we shouldn't be telling people how to create a deepfake.
No, it's well understood.
It's well understood. Go on, so tell us.
It's well understood. It's an academic literature. It's studied in peer-reviewed literature. So we're not doing anything here like we like to stick to science. We want to root our work in scientific thoroughness. So the process is well studied. It is essentially taking. So I'm going to get a little nerdy here, but there's a thing called fast Fourier transforms, which is basically a mathematical function that lets you detect the noise signal in an image. Okay, so we can take an image, a real image, and we can take a fake image. There's plenty of examples of that. And we can then take the noise from each of those images, and then we can train a model to see the difference between those two noise signatures.
So basically the frequency is different if it's a deepfake.
The frequency of, exactly. The frequency domain, so fast Fourier transforms detect the frequency domain of an image. In a sense we had, and also for satellites, there weren't a lot of fake, with training, with anything with AI, you need a lot of data during the training process. With satellite, because we're getting ahead of things, we're getting ahead of the, we're trying to get ahead of the problem. There isn't a lot of fake satellite imagery examples. So we had to train another model that would fake satellite images so that we could then train a detector. In other words, you're right, we had to learn to be the fakers in order
to then detect them. What are the next stages of this project then?
Okay, so we're currently just wrapped up the first phase where we received some support from the European Space Agency to do the early version of this model to prove that the technology is robust. We have finished that, and we're currently in the process of gathering a cohort of interested parties like journalists from the humanitarian domain, from think tanks that do investigative stories or journalism, and try to put together a sort of a hive mind that will help us figure out the next phase of the project. So actually give it into the hands of some of the practitioners and get their feedback.
Shoaib Burq, thank you. You'll be joining us in the Pod Extra, so a version of this show, to tell us how this tech can be applied to video and even audio deepfakes. So do please search pod.fan somewhere on Earth Podcast. Go to the page, subscribe for just $10 a month, and you can hear more on that fascinating story. Now, we're moving on to languages. But not your usual options, maybe. French doesn't inspire, Russian feels a little complicated, Spanish, well, no, it is a very, very popular language. How about something different? So, have you thought about Hausa, Yoruba? I tried some of that this morning and I've completely forgotten it all, but I was told my pronunciation was good. Igbo or even Pidgin. There's an app out there changing the way people learn African languages, making fun, practical, and rooted in everyday life learning. It's not just about memorizing phrases, it's about understanding culture, human, and the way people actually speak. Whether you're reconnecting with your heritage, planning to travel, or just curious about the world beyond the usual classroom choices, this app opens the door to languages that don't always get space on mainstream platforms. So let's take a look at how it works and why African languages are finally getting their moment. And founder of NaijaTeach, Esther Imogu, joins us. Hello, how are you?
Hi.
How do you say that in Hausa or Yoruba? Can you tell us?
Say what?
Hello, how are you?
In Igbo, it's Kedu. In Yoruba, is Bawoni. And in Hausa, I think it's Nakwani. I'm also learning as well.
You're also learning. You're using your own app. So tell me about this app, because I've tried it out and it's really user-friendly and very easy to use.
Yes. The app is such, language is such that if you have an idea of in African languages, they're very tonal. That means that they have accents that come in, and the presence things that you have online of some languages don't have that. Most of them are not so. So the goal is to be able to provide the indigenous languages with the tonal correction so that when you learn it, you can sound native. But to do that, obviously, we went a step further, because not only do we have a curriculum that allows you to have a continuous practice, we have everything is audio supported. That means you can listen, you can test how well you're doing the job, and in the future we're going to have AI that will tell you, oh, you're 70% good, I'll give you a check mark if you're really getting it right, and encourage you to better. We also have a dictionary that allows you to research, check, and then also formulate sentences and understand it. And the way the app is built, we have a grammar section. That means that you can have the pronouns, you have all the information that you need, that with the dictionary in multi-languages. So having all that input, and also there's a connection to a live tutorial in Twitter if you do want that. So the app is such that it encompasses different ways of learning, because some people are visual, and for that we do have some animation. Mm-hmm. And then some people, the kids, like fun, so we have gamification.
Because you've got a little children's section, yes, haven't you? Yes. So because obviously you and I are going to learn differently.
Yes. But the thing is, when people say, what about adults? I'm like, if you don't know your language, you're like a kid, because you're going to have to start from the basics. So the thing is, so whatever way works for you, there's something for you.
And what I noticed was that the audio quality was very good. It was very clear. You could hear it. And I love that idea of it telling you, no, your pronunciation was awful. Just stop it.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I get that. And I think that was is really, really such a positive thing. But why did you decide to do this?
I and my husband are from two different ethnicities.
Mm-hmm.
And so my kids speak English. The older ones. And it always kind of bugged me that public and I can only communicate in English, and the whole world is understanding me. I can talk to a kid without personally. And so I felt I didn't do a good job, because my parents did a better job. So the goal was always because there was never something that was accessible. And the kids, they need something online. They need something that the phones can app. So So I always knew that this was something I wanted to go into. I wanted to fill that niche that nobody had thought about and make it in such a way that is engaging, it's convenient.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting children to learn another language on top of everything else. When so much of pop culture and everyday culture is in English, it's very difficult. But you have that. You've got little animations where they're being told not only about, what these words mean, but when you would say them, for instance. Things like that actually really put it into context, don't they?
Yes, it does. Because if you think about it, it's almost like a community. Because another target population is the Africans in diaspora. When you are within an area whereby it's either Spanish, English, French, the likelihood that the kids are going to go to school and that's what they're going to pick, because the environment is not conducive for them to assimilate it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we create a community using, as you said, speech, using oral, using exercises, using practice, using repetition, for them to be able to, and there's also a chat. The goal is to have like a chat community whereby you can ask questions, you can have a discussion, you can have your family together in one group. So that way it becomes like your own space. And most importantly, because sometimes the reason why people don't don't really speak so well is because they're embarrassed of sounding off. But when you're in your house, in your room, you can practice. That way when you come out, you sound native. So that gives you the confidence to be able to try. Because if you don't really try it, you can never really speak it.
Now tell me how you gathered this data, because it's in 4 languages at the moment. 4 or 5?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah. Nigeria only, that's where you're starting from.
Yeah, that's the same with Nigeria.
But you really, it was only quite recently that you started gathering the data. So tell me how you did that, because you did not use AI, did you?
No. Most of it was native. Because the fact I said before, the languages are tonal. So when you listen to most of the ones you have online, they sound off. So, and my goal was not to have that. So what we did was that we got multiple educators in each of the indigenous languages. We have a template that's in English. So because the educators, they're able to do the conversion in terms of providing the data that we need. And because the curriculum is set in such a way that, as I said, they're two-pronged. The part that has to do with the curriculum for the children, you have like the basic, intermediate, and you have advanced. And then you also have the grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and then you have first semester, second semester, third semester. What that does is that there's a continuity. You know that you did this, I'm going to do this, and everything is, so that allows the kids to grow into it. And that's separate from the other part that is like the modules that take like a capture, like maybe you want to travel, you want to know how do you say, how are you, how do you say I'm going to my hotel, how do you say I'm off to market, can I get this? So it's like we have them in different targeting, different groups. So I would feel that doing that, and as you said, with all the gamification, the animation and all the stuff, will help the kids be comfortable with it.
So what's next? What languages are you next going to start working on?
Arabic, really. Yeah.
Arabic.
Yeah. The thing about it was a good thing in Qatar, because the thing about language is that you have a language like Yoruba or Igbo or any of them. They're different. They sound different. Like I say, like variations of it. That's the word, variations. But you need to get the central one, the one that everybody can key into, because it wouldn't make sense to have Yoruba 1, Yoruba 2, Yoruba 3. But there's a central one, and that's Arabic. I didn't know that Arabic was like that too. So I was talking with someone and said, like, for you to get the one that's most understood, Arabic, you have to go to Egypt or Oman. But Egypt and Oman Arabic is understood by everybody. I'm still doing research on that. But the goal is to get the one that will incorporate most, and then from there, that out. So that's the goal.
The one you could be most understood in that.
Yes.
That is really, really interesting. So, Esther Imogu, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
That's all for this week. Just a quick reminder that we have all the shows on our YouTube channel. Please go there and check us out. And also, please rate us on your favourite podcasting platform. We greatly appreciate it. Get in touch via hello@somewhereonearth.co or via WhatsApp on +44 746 329 484 or on our socials. The sound engineer here at Web Summit is the lovely Jonas Diaz, who's been with us for all 3 shows. Thank you very much. The production manager is Liz Toohey, and I'm the editor. Until next week, bye-bye.